morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're going to be listening to this. My name is Tyler Gruetzmacher. I'm the Barron County Conservationist. I've been in conservation now for 29 years, all up here in Barron County. I went to school at UW-Stevens Point with a major in watershed management, which is a program that they have there that is really a broad-based soils, waters, uh, classes, very well-rounded natural resources degree. Not real too specific on anything. Most of the work here in Barron County is working with farms. And in the last 5 years, the main focus we've had is improving soil health, because we really feel that by improving the health of the soil, we can solve so many of the other problems, and that's what we're going to talk about in the presentation today. I'll go over the outline of the talk this morning. We're going to basically be talking about soil basics, why we need to protect it. It's, the ability to grow food depends on it. Without it, we're not going to be going too far. It's an incredible carbon sink, and this is a little controversial. I guess it's not really controversial in the fact that some people say it's a bad thing to do. There is some discussion as to the ability for soil carbon to bring us out of the global warming carbon dioxide issue in the atmosphere. Flood protection. If we can soak this water into the soil and not have it running off, it's going to be an incredible thing. For the farmers, they look at if they can improve that soil structure and the ability to hold up the equipment, they can get into a field sooner after rainfall. There'll be less plant stress during the dry months. We'll be talking about that. Breaking up pest cycles, a lot of things, if there's just corn followed by soybeans, corn, soybeans, pests can adapt to that cycle quite easily, and they will, basically evolution has changed a few things already that, for example, there's some pests that were just dealing with corn in the past that they're now attacking soybeans because they've found that, hey, this stuff's pretty good to eat too. Less erosion, like we talked about. A big one is less fuel and labor and parts costs. If a farm just has to run one pass across the field in order to plant versus 2 or 3 passes to do tillage with larger equipment, it's a substantial cost. There was one reference I heard from a very large farmer that he's buying tractors on a regular basis throughout his career, but now with no-till, he said you really notice that when you don't buy another $300,000 tractor that you would have been buying, that's a substantial savings. And so, and then for society, soil and nutrients stay in the field where they're productive. They're not in streams. They're not in our groundwater. So those are the some of the big parts about why we want to improve soil health. How can we protect and improve it? We'll get the 5 soil health principles later on in the talk. Soil really is our #1 natural resource. We owe our existence to the 6 inches of topsoil and the fact that it rains. We really can't do anything without it. If we don't have soil, and we've lost tremendous amounts of it, agriculture is all we can just increase our inputs. We can use artificial synthetic fertilizers. That works to a point. The only problem is that they're also, in many cases, a finite resource. For instance, phosphorus is all mineral phosphorus that's mined. At some point in time, we're going to run out of it. The nation of Sweden has an embargo. They will not export phosphorus from their country because they know that without it, plant life can't exist. So we can't just keep on saying, oh, we'll just keep on adding inputs to what's left of it that we can deal without it. To grow it on large scale, agriculture on a large scale, we have to have soil. We can't be doing it in greenhouses I love hydroponic tomatoes and lettuce and things like that, but they're not going to do be able to produce the food on the large scale that we need for society. This is just a clump of nice, healthy soil here in Barron County. It's a silt loam soil. You can see a lot of the crumbly structure that's with it. You can see some large holes, some earthworms in it. This is what we're looking for. We're not looking for things that are platey and blocks and things like that. So we're looking for just good soil, has a nice smell to it. It's organic matter in it, the other things in it. So that's what we're looking for with our soils.
Okay, I think Tyler's showing us here another photo of some soil, of course, and it's got some organic matter, and it looks like to me it's dark. It looks like it's got a worm tunnel in there. I think these are desirable characteristics that he was showing us. And let's see if we can get the audio on this.
If your soil is worked and doesn't have that health to it, a crust forms, and you can see this soil is just basically baked bricks that then the water just raced right through, eroded it. There was nothing to hold it together. This will take a considerable amount of tillage this spring, more inputs in order to get it ready to be productive this year. But in an erosion event, we've lost production that we'll never get back. This is one of my favorite slides. It's in a bad way. This was a storm event a few years ago, just north of Barron. Uh, 3 or 4 inches of rain came in a really short amount of time. And it really shows that the idea that, well, it's a flat field, I don't need to protect it, really doesn't hold truth, because this field had water racing across it everywhere. You can see areas not in the channels where water was just sitting on it. It wasn't infiltrating at all. This field lost production in that event that it will never get back. It will never have the potential that it had the day before this storm. It's going to be down a certain amount no matter what is done to it. It has lost potential for the rest of history, which is really a sad thing because we just can't keep on doing this because we're going to have these events. We have to plan and say, well, I got caught and I didn't know we were going to have one. We're going to have these events. It's not a case of if, it's a case of when. With carbon, we want it in the soil. We don't want it in the atmosphere. We've lost a tremendous amount out of our soils. They've been oxidized into the atmosphere. There's some research has shown from Ohio State, Rotten Eye, he said that the world's cultivated soils have lost between 50 and 70% of the original carbon stock, much of which oxidized due to exposure to air and becomes CO2. It's just the same principles that happen anywhere else. So we need to work to get this back into the soil. Um, there have been a few proposals throughout the years that people say, oh, if we just go crazy on soil health, we can actually bring climate change back in check with this. We can bring in an incredible amount, and they've got it calculated out. Others say, well, no, it won't get to that point. But it's one of those things that nobody denies increasing the carbon in the soil is a bad thing. It's kind of like money in your checkbook. You never have too much of it. Nobody ever says, oh, I have too much carbon in my soil and it's holding me back. So everybody's looking for more carbon in the soil. So we need to work to get it in there. If through advancements and further research we can find that, hey, we're reversing some aspects of climate change, that would be great. If not, we're going to end up with soils that are still more productive and beneficial for everybody. So increasing the soil organic matter, the carbon, is an effective method for increasing drought resistance. If we can get this water to soak into the ground during spring rains or spring melt, it's going to be in the soil profile, maybe down 1, 2, 3 feet. And those are areas that roots from plants can get to and get it down into the soils rather than having to run off. So that when we get that period of 90 degrees for 10 days in July and it doesn't rain and the crops are stressed, they can get that moisture. There's something there for them. If that water runs off the field in April and May, by the time that July comes around, that water's going past St. Louis on the Mississippi. It's not doing any good for the fields up here, obviously. So we need to get that water into the soil, drain through it, so not turn it into mud, but get it down into the soil profile in a healthy manner and get the benefits from it there. These next few slides are going to basically go through the history of how agricultural has happened. You know, we started as humans finding some seeds of something that, you know, like how we pick those things. So they brought those back home and planted those, and that was the start of agriculture. And it was digging a hole in the ground by their hand, same as basically people do with their gardens nowadays. And then some, well, to make it a little bit bigger, we're going to need some sort of plow, something to do it. So they invented the wooden plow that then was pulled, some sort of beast or burden, or in some cases they were pulled by humans. Then we added a couple of horses to the equation, and you know, we thought we really had something. And then 100 years ago, the tractors were invented. They got quite large, incredible amounts of power, and with that, an incredible amount, a way of turning the soil over. And but then we've been going back, and once we get to no-till farming, we started going back the other way. So we'll talk about that.
All right, so this is the wooden plow that Tyler mentioned, a very historic and ancient plow here. It looks like it's got a means here, maybe be attached to an animal. All right, here we've got a couple of draft horses with a rider on a real simple plow. Looks like it's turning over only about a foot of soil with each pass. And then Tyler mentioned the tractors invented around about 100 years ago, and they've gotten larger and larger. This is an incredible scene here, how much ground is being plowed up with each pass of this tractor. Oops, and okay, I think, well, let's see, we'll cover one more slide here. Tyler, I think he mentioned this as no-till operation here, and yeah, we'll pause right here.